Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Well, today I'm going to talk about something that a lot of the time people don't think it's related to productivity, and that's journaling and the power it can bring to you. Now, I will be honest, up to about 2 years ago, I never used to journal. I used to think to myself, well, this is something that kids do. This is something that you see on TV. This is something that people do just to get things out of their head. And I couldn't have been further from the truth. Journaling is such a powerful tool. Now, we all encounter journals all the time. One that always jumps to my mind, I'm a big Star Trek fan, you may already know that. But on each Star Trek program, you're always hearing them talking about the captain's log or personal log. All they are journals. Obviously, they do it auditory, so they're speaking it because seeing someone writing in a journal is fairly boring, isn't it? But hearing them talk, that lets them get that message over and lets them jump between scenes. But these logs, all they are journals. So 2 years ago, I thought, look, let's give this a go. I scanned loads of websites. I read loads of books. I tried to do a lot of research onto journaling. Never started doing the journaling, I was doing the research. This went on for a few months. None of them were really making sense to me. They all seemed to be really aspirational. You know, I'd end up spending that much time journaling, I'd never get work done. So I thought to myself, Gary, how can you start using this? And I set a date. I went out and I bought myself a nice A5 size book. I already use fountain pens, so it's a good chance to use my fountain pens on a daily basis. And I said, Gary, let's start doing something. What I did is I decided that I was going to write one side of A5 every day. That was it. Nothing more, but also nothing less. I was going to fill an A5 page every day. Once I started doing that, well, the whole journaling practice, it started to come together. I was able to use this and I was able to write out what had happened the previous day. And I soon found that was going to be more than an A5 size. So I thought about it a bit more and I came up with the idea is I'm going to write about the previous day, but I'm not going to write about what was done. I'm going to write about how it made me feel. If something went wrong, how did that make me feel? Is there a lesson I can learn from it? I put that into the journal. If something went right, I would use the journal to celebrate that, to record the fact it's happened. After 18 months, I now go back and I look at some of those pages and I've got to be honest, there's lessons in there that I'm still learning to this day. So it was really useful, especially being able to go back and read them. So by imposing on myself this limitation of writing one A5 page, I'm letting it get the feelings out of my head. I'm letting it get the thoughts out of my head about what happened the previous day. As part of this, what I'm finding is it's actually helping me identify new actions. Most days I'll come up with 2 or 3 new actions. Some days, it might be over a dozen. It's the act of reflecting, the act of coming up with something to write that's letting my brain explore the previous day's actions, explore what happened, and that's leading to new ideas and to new ways of thinking as well. Now, when I started this, I'm going to be honest with you, I found the first few weeks really difficult. The writing part, that was easy. It's the thinking part. And again, I want to challenge you about this. It's not about writing it down. It's about thinking. As said, I used an A5 notebook. For someone else, Microsoft Word, Apple Pages, Obsidian, Rum. There's loads of different tools. What's the important thing is you're starting to sit down and deliberately think and reflect on the previous day. After those first few weeks, though, this is where things started to come into focus. What I was finding is my mind was clearer because I wasn't constantly rehashing the previous day. It was done, it was gone, it was out of the way. By getting into this habit of daily journaling, it was helping me to clean out my head. After 18 months, it's the first thing I do every morning. I look forward to doing it. I make my coffee, I sit down at my desk, and I do my journal. It's like there's a mental weight being lifted off my mind. I'm no longer having to remember things. I'm no longer having things going round and round and round thinking, what if I, should I do this? I'm getting it out of my head. I'm getting it onto paper. You may want to get it onto your computer, but it's out of the head. That's what matters. I've also started a second journal. About 6 months ago, I kicked this off. What I was finding, yes, that daily reflection, that was working really well. I did a lot of digging then into the bullet journal method. And I will be honest, I haven't adopted the full thing. What I've done is I've pulled out 3 concepts from the bullet journal. So the first one is a tracker. In this, I'm tracking how many hours I slept, if I read, if I drank any alcohol, and a score between 1 and 3 of what I think my productivity is. The key with these, you've got to be honest. So with that productivity score, I would say 80% of my days are now a 3, but I still get the occasional one where it's a 2 or a 1, and that's fine. I can now track though, so I can then go from that tracker and see what was going on that day to see how that was affecting me, how days when there was a low productivity, what went on, what can I do different to allow me to increase my productivity. The next page is I created a yearly plan. Now it's got my theme for the entire year. I've got another video about themes and goals, but I like this idea of a theme for the year. So that's where everything comes into that one theme. I then divided the page up into 12, one for each month. At the start of each month, well, usually the end of the previous month, but at the start of each month, I come up with 3 goals. Why 3? Well, one's a professional goal, one's a personal goal, and one is about my YouTube channels. 3 goals, that's what I'm focusing on that month. Not 4, not 2. I like the idea of 3 because it's 1 per area. By focusing on these, what I've found is each month, I usually hit that target. There's a couple of months when I haven't, but I understand why that is. The final page that I started, this is a daily page. It's what it says. I go into this every day. Start of every day, I go in and I select 3 actions that I'm going to do that day. 1 professional, 1 personal, 1 around my YouTube channels. And then they're the key goals that I want to do. They're the key things that must get done. Now, yes, I also get a load more tasks done, but by identifying my 3 key ones for the day, it allows me to focus on them, to bring them to my mind. Some days I don't do all 3, but every day I do at least 2. But identifying the 3, this is the key. 1 from each area of my life that I'm trying to focus on. So to summarize where I'm going with journaling, it lets you get things out of your head. It lets you think about what's happened. It lets you start to plan for the future, plan for the day ahead, and come up with some goals that move you forwards every single day. Moving towards those daily goals helps you to achieve the results you deserve. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Do you keep a journal? What sort of things do you journal? Can you share that? Please drop a comment down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.